All right, we're here at SEMA 2021. We're hanging out outside the Miller booth, and I'm with my friend Adam Deuling, who's also from Michigan. He's made the trek out here, and we were just catching up, and he was talking about these cool little capture nut plates that he made. And tell us about kind of the genesis and the inspiration for building these.
Yeah, so actually, like the first project I made these on, it was a situation where I had a custom part, and I needed to get a socket on a nut or on a bolt, but the way the part was made, I couldn't. So I kind of just made one of these quick on my plasma table, and I welded it to the link mount, and then it worked. And I had a few buddies go, "Hey, you should market those." So I drew up a few different sizes there. I've got, I think, 8 sizes between like 3/8 bolts, the shank, 3/8 up to 1 inch, like Tim Cameron and the Rock Bouncer guys, like Jake Berkey. Those guys run like 1 inch bolts on some of their big off-road things. Okay. So I went all the way up to 1 inch, and we've been selling them on 4x Store since early 2020.
And you say you think you sold about 10,000 of them?
We could check the numbers, but man, when we started, they were going out all day, every day.
Right on.
I have them all laser cut instead of plasma cutting them. So I order them in like quantities of 500 or more to get those prices down, and it's just the quality is way nicer.
Right on.
But yeah, in the beginning, I was hey, I need another 500 of this size, another 500 of this size, another 500, So it was really cool, and there's a lot of rigs out there, a lot of guys in California.
Is it pretty much exclusively off-road community, or
mostly off-road? Mostly off-road. I would say probably 95% of them have gone to off-road rigs. That's where I got my start.
Yeah.
So it's kind of where a lot of people know me.
How did you get into the off-roading fabrication business?
I bought my 85 K5 Blazer when I was 18 years old, and hopped on a website called one of the old forums called ck5.com, and started talking to all these guys on there that have been building all these off-road trucks. And then a few years went by, started modifying my rig, and then met some of those guys through little like meet and greet, so and so's having a build party in Kalamazoo. Oh, hey, I'm close to that. Drive down there and meet those guys. Now I'm buddies with those guys. And oh, we're going to the dunes, and you'd meet some more of them. And then it progressed to the point where we started throwing a yearly get together called CK5 Dune Fest. It was just kind of a joke in the beginning. And the first year...
You do that Silver Lake?
Yep. The first year, actually, my buddy Rich, who runs 4x Store, the website, if you just scan that on the card there, it'll take you there. It's where we sell everything. But my buddy Rich shows up. He drove from Boston to West Michigan in a M1009 Cuckbee, the Blazers. Okay. With the 6.2 diesel, all military green on like 33s, lifted, loud, like only goes like 45 miles an hour. I think he had SM 465.
I have to make sure I stay off like Dove Planet, all those.
Yep. So he came out the first time, and he's here with me. We've been like together all the time ever since, and I met a lot of my best friends through that. Half of my wedding party was guys I met on that website, and
that's awesome.
And then other off-road friends and such. And,
so you basically started fabricating parts for your own vehicle, and then it just
grew, and then you get into the off-road world, and okay, we went and drove in the dunes. Well, those guys are jumping. Well, I want to jump.
I want to do that.
What can we do? So you start going more, deeper and deeper and deeper
down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I picked up probably 10, 11 years ago, I don't know, picked up two sets of rear Raptor shocks. The guy was selling on Craigslist. They built a truck for SEMA.
And it was like they would take off
and they ripped off all, so they were brand new Fox internal bypass, their internal bypass 2.5-inch piggyback shocks, if you go on, at the time, if you went on Fox, .com, that was, close to $1,000 shock.
You know, Fox had to build a whole nother factory just to build the shocks for the Raptor because the Raptor became so obscenely popular.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. It was impossible to get any information out of anybody on the internet about these shocks back then. I remember going onto the Raptor forums and trying. I couldn't figure it out. But I picked up 4 of those for $700 on Craigslist. All 4 of them. That was like a screaming deal. Found some hydraulic air bumps, and then just started collecting, I hit up Off-Road Design and ordered their custom leaf springs and a bunch of their steering components. We put that together and then built my Blazer up. There's like 200 foot of roll cage in it. It's all tied to the frame and everything. And built that and went up the dunes and just, we just started going and jumping and playing around and, that's how I got into fabrication. And then, I met so many people through that party we started having. We've had people come from almost every state.
That's awesome.
It's always like, 20, 30 guys. It's nothing huge.
But they're hardcore.
It's more fun. But yeah, you get guys coming from Boston, Maine, Texas, California, Tennessee. I mean, almost every state.
All with the same kind of passion.
And they're driving these trucks that are 40 years old that they've built, and rebuilt and vamped up, and it's so cool. And that's really where I got into everything. And then
is that how you got into the design too? Like how, or did you?
I wanted to be a shop teacher when I left high school. I did a lot of shop class. We didn't have like fabrication, but we had like sand mold, casting. So I was doing aluminum casting and brass casting in high school, and I really liked that stuff. But there's no more shop class programs out there really.
Right.
So when I graduated, I took like 1 year at the community college going towards that, and then I decided, you know what, this is going to be a hard life. I'm gonna have to move away from my family and probably not make much money. And so my second, interest was a more, an engineering type thing. So I went and got a CAD Associates.
Okay.
And then when I got out of that, I got a job at a place in Muskegon that does sheet metal manufacturing. We made deli cases for Starbucks and Whole Foods and all those types of stores. So, we had isotronic lasers and press brakes and everything, so I really learned that whole side of things, how a press brake works, how lasers work, how to design for manufacturing, all that stuff.
The best designers have the hands-on ability as well.
Yes, exactly, because you can, when you're drawing it, you can sit there, I can sit there and think, when I'm bending this, is this flange that's already bent going to hit the fingers? Is it going to be doing this? Where, we'd have engineers come in fresh out of school and they'd build a countertop with a curve on it, and they'd put a sheet metal, they'd put a bend feature on it, because you can do that in SolidWorks, and you can flatten it in SolidWorks, and you can send it to the laser, and then it got to the press brake, and we all had a good laugh, like, hey man. So the guys, that are on, that can kind of do both. I think
we have
you can eliminate a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, we get it worked in the model all the time. And it's like,
yep.
It's got to work in the real world.
Yep.
Right on. So is this your first SEMA show?
Yep, never. This was my first time flying by myself on a plane.
Really?
I pretty much spent the last 10 years working in the garage, either working in my old boss's garage. I started working for Brett when I was 16. He owns Lasco Plumbing in Muskegon, Michigan. I started working for him when I was 16, and then I got my job at like 22 or so, and started building my Blazer and stuff down at his shop, and I just kind of never left, and after I got the Blazer done, I was kind of looking for something. I was enjoying the metal fab, I built the roll cage, learned that stuff, and I love dimple dyes. I dimple dyed everything. Like, people made fun of me, the CK5 guys made fun of me for all the dimple dye stuff. I went on Pirate 4x4 and made a thread, it's called like metal working tools. it actually became like the highest viewed thread in the like tool shed area of Fire 4x4, which is cool. But it's like, you know, what else is out there? You know, my blazer's done, you know, or what I can do with it for now. You know, I need a lot of money to do the next version, and I was just asking, you know, what are other things? And you know, I posted a picture of a wishbone rear link on a hot rod, and it had a bead rolled triangle that somebody had grafted on. It's like, how do you do this? It's just like it's just a stamp. And one of the guys was like, no, it's a bead roller. I'd kind of seen a bead roller before. I didn't understand the concept. I was like, how's the whole thing go down? You know, I was like, you got the two dies, how does it make that whole shape move down like that? And I didn't get it, so I bought one. I just bought like a $140 Woodward Fab one or something. And it was kind of, I had to like beef it up a little bit. You know, I welded some angle iron on it, beefed it up, and started playing around with that. Just, you know, at first making a lot of garbage and scrap, and then I started kind of figuring out some stuff. Started watching Jamie's stuff on the, you know,
Jamie Jordan.
And then you know, I talked to Jamie. Jamie's awesome. Jamie's like my big brother. You know, he's been awesome. And you know, he gave me some tips. So I had some custom dies made for that one. So nobody made dies for bead rollers, you know, 6 years ago. None of those like. No. Those simple ones,
Jamie's
like
definitely
the Harbor
pushing
Freight.
the boundaries.
Oh yeah, Jamie like invented art rolling, you know. Yeah. I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But you know, so I got into that and started getting kind of good. You know, I was making little signs and stuff. You know, and people on Facebook were, could you make, you know, my family's name for Christmas? Or,
you're basically like a career. You're curious. You're a career curiosity.
I like getting a tool and then like maxing out what I can do with it.
Maxing out the potential of
you know, a lot of people like see like my press brake and think like, you know, okay, it's for bending metal. Well, I'm like, well, I can make it a press too. You know, I can press inserts and I press PEM nuts in with it and all these things, you know. So I really like to max out the potential of things, I guess. You know, I don't not just use it for what it's for.
But I get it.
But yeah, so I started making like panels and stuff and started getting kind of good with that. And it was just a hand crank roller.
Right.
And I got invited to the Michigan Buggy Builders show. It's like a sand dune, you know, sand rail show. It's a sand show, you know. And to be putting at the time BL Motorsports up there. So I went there and brought a bunch of panels and did demonstrations, and people loved it. And I didn't really sell anything because it was like art. It was like art at an off-road show.
I've done a lot of shows like that where I displayed stuff and it's like, this isn't really conducive to selling art.
I'm trying to sell like a $135 bead rolled square that, you know, said Gearhead Garage or something, and you know, these guys weren't really interested. But I handed out business cards and people saw me, and then, you know, I got some offers to work. You know, I showed you that white truck earlier. You know, Frank Taylor brought his truck to me and said, I want you to do the tin work on it. So, and I was absolutely terrified because, you know, he's a big deal at the sand dunes. Like, that's a big deal truck. From Michigan to California, that's a big deal truck. He said if I don't do it, the truck's going to California. He said I was the only person over here that he trusted to like do it, or it was going to Cali. And I was like, what?
Hell yeah.
You know, so by this time I had upgraded to a Jamie Jordan Series 36-inch. You know, I had used that other one and raised some money with that, and then bought the better one. So now you can do a little more fancy work. You know, when you got an extra hand free that's not cranking, you can fade and do all these fun little tricks. So I got into that and got into, you know, the tin work side of that, and learned a whole bunch there. Worked on a few other things. At that point, you know, cutting all the panels out by hand with a hand plasma was getting too much, so I bought the CNC plasma table, a little 4x4. Started doing that, and then that developed to, you know, people wanted brackets and mounts and link mounts and this and that, and then, you know, I worked on that truck and made a lot of things with that, with the plasma, and then I just kept, snowballing. Now I needed a press brake so I could bend the metal. I was sick of, having to weld everything. So
yeah, it becomes a contagious,
all of a sudden,
you can fill up floor space really quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got pallet racks. Pallet racks are great, and a little tiny forklift. But it was wild because $140 bead roller turned into $150,000 in tools in 5 years, and it all paid for itself.
Yeah.
While I was working at my job, none of that money was going to the business. The business expanded itself. So it was just okay, I made $2,000 on this project. What's that next? What's that next tool I want? Now I have a press brake. Now I can bend it. Okay, now I need more tooling for the press brake. Press brake tooling is expensive.
Yeah.
People don't realize that, press brake tooling is probably more expensive than the whole machine.
When people look at a piece and they're like, why does this cost so much? They don't understand the behind the scenes cost.
Yeah, the setups, the setup times. People want one part made or whatever, which is actually kind of what I specialize in now. I do a lot of work with some companies in the Detroit area that do EV and autonomous conversions and whatnot, and they'll do one vehicle, one oddball vehicle for one company, maybe anywhere in the country. So they're putting an electric motor in this vehicle that's never had one, so they need custom motor mounts and all these things, and so they'll send it to me. I can question their design. Hey, could we make it like this? I'll give them suggestions because I've seen the press brake side of things. So hey, if we made this 2 pieces, it'd be a lot cheaper because it's not going to take me 3 hours of tooling setup to do it. So it's a lot of it is one-off stuff like that for me. I really enjoy that though.
Yeah,
it's like figuring out the puzzle. Every day's like a new puzzle. How do I get to that end result?
It's definitely my favorite thing about working a prototype is there's always something new.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it. Love running into my Michigan people out here in Vegas. It's always
You doing
fun.
PRI?
I haven't done PRA yet, but I'd like to check it out.
I registered this morning.
Tom Passes tells me I got to do it.
Yep. So I went down and got Thomas's plasma table installed in January.
Oh, right on.
And now I have a fast cut plasma table.
Very cool.
So I got to go find Russ somewhere. He's somewhere around here. Russ from Fast Cut.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
He's around here with he's walking around with Ivan and those guys from the metal shop, man.
Gotcha. Right on. Very cool, man. Well, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. These are sweet.
Thanks, man.
And that's a great idea.
Yeah, 4xstore.com.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks.